inner journey cannot be truly undertaken without the participation of our hearts. And I mean our true heart, our real heart. We have to put our heart into it for there to be actually an inner journey. Otherwise, it will be circling the same planet over and over again. What I call being stuck in a gravity-bound orbit. But when the heart is involved, something happens. Something happens, and happens easier, that otherwise won't happen or might be too much work. The path then will become, if the heart is not involved, the path becomes work, in the sense becomes serious, becomes heavy, becomes like duty. When the heart is involved in it, because the path is difficult, as we all know who have tried to undertake it. Without heart, it can become very disappointing, very discouraging, because the path, for most of it, is really a question of experiencing failure. Failure over again, disappointment over again, just like being in love and you're left or you're not met. It can be very painful and disheartening. But when the heart is involved, it's like it doesn't matter what happens. We engage the journey not because we want to get something out of it, but we do it out of love. Love is generosity, is giving, overflowing in appreciation. So that's what I want to focus on tonight, and I don't know if I will be able to stick to 45 minutes. That's what I said. And I always don't estimate the time correctly when it comes to these topics. The idea is simple in my mind. I'm just talking about something simple, but usually when I try to put it out, I have to say a lot of things, and before I know it, it's an hour and a half. So the way we put it in our work, in this work, is that to engage the path, we really need to love. Our heart needs to be active, needs to be activated, needs to be participating, meaning we're doing it because we love something. And that's what I want to discuss. What does that mean? Love something. I know sometimes we do the work for other reasons. Like we do something out of compassion, because of the pain, our pain and suffering, other people's pain and suffering. Sometimes we do it out of desperation. Most of the time, the difficulty with the usual motivation is we do it because we want to be enlightened, or we want to be realized, or we want one thing or another from it. We want our life to improve, our experience to improve, to change, at least to be similar to the book that I read the other day. Remember what I said, that love is a generosity, is a giving. It's not wanting to get back anything. If you love somebody because you want them to give you something back, there's a question whether that is love. You see. So the path begins, continues, and succeeds when we really are aware, we engage our love for freedom, our love for unity, our love for God, our love for enlightenment, our love for reality, our love for authenticity, our love for the truth. There has to be a felt heart devotion, heart appreciation for something beyond us that we still do not know well, but we still feel that we love it. And because we love it, we are willing to undertake the inner journey. Otherwise, the inner journey is really difficult, as I said. It could be quite boring. Imagine sitting on a chair or a zaf on your butt for hours a day, as some people do it for a long time. I mean, that's very boring. That's what when I did it. Meditation, really boring. Either that or it's maddening. It's very difficult. So the way we do it in our work, we focus, the way we try to activate the love, access our heart, is by recognizing and nursing, helping to grow our love for the truth. We use truth in our work, as you will see in the book, more than enlightenment or union or God or freedom, because truth can encompass all. What is the truth? I want to know the truth. I love the truth, and I want to be with the truth. I want to see the truth, be intimate with the truth. Be as close, as near to the truth as possible. So I was thinking, what is it then? What is it about the heart? What is it about loving the truth or loving the unity or loving reality or freedom that make things work? Why would that make the journey happen? Because I'm saying it not only makes it more interesting, more exciting, but it makes it work. Thing can open up, really. A transformation can happen. Without it, the transformation is very difficult. Well, I think first, let's look at something easy to perceive. We know that we all like love, right? All of us like to be loved, want to be loved. Human beings or living beings thrive in being loved. All the psychologists know that, all the parents know that, everybody knows that human beings want to be loved, enjoy being loved. They want it, and they thrive in it. So I was thinking, why? Did you ever think about that? Why do everybody want to be loved? I mean, why won't being ignored be just as satisfying? Have you thought about that? I mean, you can imagine life has developed such a way that being ignored sounds wonderful. peaceful. But we don't thrive on that. We like to be loved. And we notice that people who are loved, they seem to grow, to mature, to develop, to grow, and to have some kind of more ease. The more loved they are, the more their development and maturation happens more smoothly, more easily, with less difficulties, with less suffering, with less obstacles. So we see that, and that might give us the beginning of insight about what is it about love that makes us all want to be loved. What is it about love that makes it the sort of the oiling mechanism for the inner journey? What is it about love that makes it feel as if we're engaging the right kind of fuel? So the first observation is that it's obvious. Life thrives in love. Without life can survive, maybe with difficulty, but doesn't thrive well. And life, I don't mean just human beings, animals, even trees, plants, flowers. If you love them, take care of them. I mean, it's been known, like, if you really love your plants, and you sing to them with appreciation, they perk up. They seem to get healthier. There's something about it. This is very interesting, actually. And I'm sure there have been all kinds of research, and I'm sure that by now there are some kind of neurophysiological or explanation for it. It might be probably true. I don't think really it's a satisfying understanding of what makes love so special. People say, well, I like love because it feels good. It feels good, it feels sweet, it feels happy, it feels, I feel I'm free when there's love. I know, we already established that. The question, what is it about that love that makes that happen? So we're contemplating the question together. Why do we really like love? What makes us thrive when there is love? What makes the love be so effective in the journey? What I find, which you could read in the book in some detail, that to really understand what is it about love, we have to look deeply into reality. We have to look deeply into our consciousness. We have to look deeply into the truth of existence. And to see what is the function or the role of love in reality as a whole. Not in terms of our human interactions and our physiology or our emotions, but to look at the depth of the universe, the depth of existence, to look at what is it that makes things happen, or when things happen in the universe, what makes them happen. It has been known, it has been taught many times, that when we go to the spiritual nature, when we really begin to recognize what is the truth of being, what is the truth of the spirit, recognize our essential nature, what is the nature of everything. It has been known that it is a loving nature, that love and the source of existence are not separate. They're almost the same. But that actually doesn't give us the insight about what is it about love that makes things happen, that makes things move, that makes things grow, that makes things develop. What I find is that the observation, seeing that life thrives in love, that when somebody is loved and is receiving the love, they seem to flower, they seem to become more of what they can be. Their potential begins to emerge. Because we can see there's a connection between that and the depth of reality, the depth of being in terms of what makes things happen. Usually, when we see happenings in the universe, when we see changes in our life, our environment, the movement of the planets, the creation of the stars, relationships or jobs, everything happening in life, we think of it as the action, either as physical processes or the actions of individuals. But when we really look at reality and its depth, what we see is that reality in its own is, first of all, is some kind of a truth, some kind of a is some kind of an existence that has a fundamental realness to it, in the sense we realize, first of all, that reality is not just the objects that we see around us, that the objects we see around us are particular forms that reality takes. We see that reality is more of some kind of a luminosity, some kind of a light, some kind of a presence, a clear, self-existing presence, a truth that its fundamental truth is that it is. In other words, that the depth of reality is the very beingness of everything that we see. That what we see are the forms of something that is fundamental, like the way waves are in an ocean. Like we see reality, something similar to seeing the water. Water, like forms the ocean, and can manifest as currents, as waves, manifest as all kind of things, but it is always this body of water. So to recognize reality, we begin to see that it is some kind of a field, some kind of a medium, some kind of a presence that simply is, that it is just the isness of everything. It's like the isness of everything, the your very existence, the existence of this room, the existence of the whole universe, when we experience it directly, when we experience it immediately, when we're really feeling it instead of just thinking about and knowing it in our mind, when we feel that very existence of everything, this very existence, we recognize this as that's what reality is. But the interesting thing we see here, the next step what we're going to first, this describes the experience of presence. But when we get to true nature, it is some kind of presence. I didn't really want to focus on presence this time, because I do that a lot. But I want to focus more on how does this presence relate to love. What we notice is that this presence, first of all, it is true, it's being, that I'm experiencing myself as a presence that is a fullness, a palpability, some kind of a transparent medium whose sense of itself is that it is, it exists. Not through a mental recognition that it exists, no, its feeling of itself is its existence. The existence, the feeling of existence and the feeling of the medium are the same thing. But what we see then, that this presence, even though it is pure existence, it is at the same time is always becoming. It's always changing. It is in constant transformation. It's in constant flow. It's in constant manifestation. And the transformation of this presence are the various changes we see all around us. It's like the forms that we see, like the people you see around you, the walls, are really forms that this presence takes. But the fact that the picture we see of reality is not static, it's always changing, it reveals to us that this presence is dynamic, it is alive, and it is always changing, it's always morphing, it is always going through some kind of transformation, and this transformation, we see it at the various changes around us. It's a very interesting thing, quite a mysterious thing. But when we see it, it's also very beautiful. It's like when you see like a rose unfolding, but you see it in speeded up, so you could fast unfold like that. We begin to see reality like that, like being, the presence of reality is always unfolding like a rose. It's always opening up. And this opening up is the manifestation that everything that we see. The people that we see, the earth that we live in and love, the universe with its stars and galaxies. Similar to when you feel your heart, and your heart is somewhat open and you're feeling your feeling. But how does that happen? This feeling just well up, right? Sadness, anger, love, joy, they just well up. They just manifest, they bubble up. We can see the whole universe like that. All of existence as a welling up, as a bubbling up. And this welling up can be experienced many ways. At our arising forms, as the manifestations of reality. See, that's a transformation of the presence, beingness itself. It's like reality is a magical show in some sense. Things just pop out. Now we think, usually you think you're this individual who is walking around, right? Walking around doing things. If we really see it from the perspective of true nature, reality, what's happening is that you're always popping out. You're always unfolding, you're always opening up. It's like, I don't mean just your inner experience, I mean your body itself is always coming out from someplace, spontaneously coming out from this mysterious depth. Like, there's this mysterious depth, the vastness of space, and that is always bubbling up with light, with radiance, with clarity, with all the forms and colors that we see all around us. But that still doesn't really give us the insight, the understanding about love. Because what I'm talking about is everything. Everything is just emerging from reality. Everything is just a transformation of reality. Everything is just coming up. Everything is just manifesting. That is true about everything. Whether you're growing or not, whether you're thriving or not, you're still bubbling up. However, what I've noticed is that reality, this presence, has this dynamic energy, which is like a force that is always exploding. Just like the idea of the Big Bang, and everything is rising. It's like it's always a continual Big Bang. It's always exploding. Things are always arising. The Big Bang hasn't stopped. It's always going on. Except it's not, the physical Big Bang that we think about. It's more the various changes that we see always all around us and inside us. So one observation we see here that connects with the original question is that the experience of being can be experience of presence, can be experience of clarity, can be experience of emptiness, experience of radiance, sense of truth and existence, but sometimes has in it a sweetness. Sometimes has in it more of a softness, a tenderness, has in it some kind of a juicy quality, more of a nectary quality. And what I notice is that when this process of dynamic arising has in it this juicy, nectary, sweet quality, when that is there, the impact on living being is not that they're just arising. It's not like they're just bubbling up, because you could bubble up and continue being depressed. Like depression is bubbling up. That also bubbles up. Or terror is bubbling up. Or could be just inertia. Reality is bubbling up, yes. However, we are always the same. However, when this bubbling up has in this sweetness, has in this nectary juiciness, this bubbling up does something to this process that make it what I call an unfoldment, or what I call an evolution, a development. In other words, being or true nature has a dynamic, creative quality or property or dimension that's always manifesting everything, including our experience, inner experience. However, when this dynamic quality has in it the sweetness of love, when it feels that sense of juiciness, that sense of liking, sense of fluffy smoothness, sense of appreciativeness, sense of happy enjoyment. When that happens, something happens in our experience where it's not only manifesting, but manifesting in an evolving way. It's like it is manifesting, but manifesting new things that haven't manifested before. There's a novelty that comes in. So love, what I see here from that place of actual creation of our experience, what creates our experience is that love, the more it is there, the more the arising of our experience happens in an optimizing way. Happens in a way that enhances that experience. Happens in a way that manifests a new potential to our experience. And what we see here is something that's known by many traditions in the past, which is that being or true nature loves to reveal its treasures, loves to reveal its mysteries, it loves to reveal its truth, it loves to reveal its possibilities. It is always manifesting, but it is not always revealing a new thing. It's not always revealing a new potential that will develop the experience. But it has that love. Its love is to not only keep manifesting things, but to evolve them. It is always evolving the universe. So that's just what we see. When the Big Bang happened, things didn't stay the same. It's always evolving, always developing. It happened from first the creation of the stars, the galaxies, the planet, life on planets, and development of life all the way to humanity, and then the possibility of the evolution of humanity itself. So being, or a true nature, or the spiritual nature of our soul, of our mind, or the spiritual nature of all of existence, has the force, it's always manifesting thing, but also has a quality that we call, when we recognize it, we call it love, that when it is present, what manifests in a way that evolves and grows and develops, just has the quality of life that has a tendency of becoming more of itself, revealing more of its possibilities. And then what we see is that when we feeling our love for truth, when we recognize our love for reality, when we engage our love for freedom, is that when we do that, we are, in some sense, activating the love of being that has the function of optimizing the manifestations of being. When we don't engage our heart, when we don't engage our love, it's like we're not tuning in to the evolutionary force of the universe. Because the evolutionary force of the universe turns out as love. In other words, by me feeling my love for the truth, which means it has to be real love, you see, because what we're talking about here is engaging God's heart. You can't engage God's heart by pretending to love truth, by pretending to love enlightenment. It has to be real. It means I'm not loving it because I want something from it. I'm not loving reality. I'm not loving the truth. I'm not loving God because I want God to make me happy. It's not I'm loving the truth because I want to be enlightened. I'm not loving reality because I want my life to be better. No, I love it because I really like it, because it's so beautiful, it's so wonderful. Yes, I love it just like when you love somebody truly. Do you want something from them? It's always known that if you love somebody, you want to give them. What do you want to give them? Money, clothes, jewelry, right? But really, love means you want to give yourself. And it's the same thing with the inner journey. To love the truth means we need to love it for its own sake, which means we want to give ourselves to it. And it is not like we want to give ourselves to it. It's more like loving it is itself the giving ourselves to it. The heart, as it loves, is a giving of the soul, is a giving of our own essential nature, is a sharing, and it is an outflow, a generous, non-self-conscious, non-self-centered generosity that by just appreciating, by just liking, by just enjoying, loving it, I am consumed. And when we have that love, yes, I might not even know what the truth is. I don't know what love, what God is, what true nature is, what freedom is. But if I really feel my love for it, that engages the heart of being. You know why? Because the heart of being loves to reveal itself. What is itself? What is its ultimate nature? Freedom. It's the truth. It's the unity. So when we love the truth for its own sake, it's like our heart and the heart of God become one. Our heart and the heart of existence become the same heart. And this heart, its energy, its quality is this juicy, nectary, fluffy, melty, sweet, beautiful, wonderful kind of outflow. That by its very nature, as it is engaged, its nature is like a rose unfolding, opening up. It just opens up and opens up and reveals a newer and deeper and subtler dimension of itself. This is really a very deep truth that many of us don't usually understand, and because we don't understand, we don't appreciate what love is. Really, if you look at yourself when you're really feeling that you really love somebody or you love something, if you suppose you fall in love with somebody and you really feel that you really love them and you're really in love with them, what do you want to do when you're feeling in love with them? You want to impress them? No? Isn't that the natural thing, that when you want to really love somebody, you want to impress them? Why do you want to impress them? Of course, I know from the beginning it's a little, the whole animal and physical and all of that. But really love, if you really love somebody, you don't just want to impress their body. You want to impress their mind. You want to impress their soul. You want to impress their spirit. You want to impress their heart. You want to open it up. Why? Because you want to know them as much as possible. You want to see them as much as possible. Why do you want to see them? Why do you want to see and know the one you love? Is it because you want something from them? At the moment I want to impress them because I want something from them, the unfoldment doesn't happen. The heart doesn't work that way. There will be obstacles. And all of us know about all the obstacles that happen in love relationships. And all of us know that most of them have to do with the fact that we love, but not just love. We love and we attach and we want and we desire and we need and all of these things mixed with the love, which brings in all the stuff that I don't really want to talk about at this point. We all know about it, right? I'm trying to introduce an insight and understanding about love. What does it do? That when we love somebody, or the more true the love is, the more we just want to appreciate them. The more we see about them, the more happy we are. The more happy, the more contented, the more excited we are. That's why love means enjoying the other. And the more you see of the one you love, the more there is enjoyment. And you're not loving them because you want to enjoy them. No, the enjoyment is a side product, a spontaneous side product of the fact that I'm loving what I'm seeing here. And this love opens up the heart. When the heart is open, is naturally happy. It sings. Haven't you noticed when you're in love, right? And you haven't seen your beloved for a while, and you meet them? Doesn't it feel like there's a singing that happens inside? There's a joy just beholding them. And tell me what happened. What's been going on? It doesn't matter. It might be really boring things to other people, right? But tell anything, just because you want to know everything about it. The same thing about the inner path. When we love the truth, it's like we're loving true nature. When we're loving God, we're loving freedom, we're loving true nature. And by loving true nature, we love to see it. We love to behold it. We enjoy its beauty. We enjoy its magnificence. We enjoy its miracle. So we all actually love truth. It's not something we need to create. We all love freedom. The love of freedom might be more obvious. The love of authenticity might be more obvious to us. But we all love the truth and we can see it in our experience. Like when we see something true about ourselves or about reality, there is a satisfaction, there is a happiness about it, even though it might be a difficult thing that we see, a painful thing. It's like, I remember a poem by Rumi, which I think is one of the best poems written about love, because he really gives you the insight about what love is. And I noticed most people haven't heard about this poem before. I'll tell you just the first two lines from the first two verses. He says, "This is love, to fly heavenward. To rend. This is love, to fly heavenward. To rend every instant 100 veils." To rend means to open, break open. He said, love is to fly heavenward. Love is to move to the depth of reality. And the next line explains what that means. To rend every instant 100 veils. I mean, the action of love, the activity of love is revelation, because it is love that allows being to reveal itself. So for us, as we love the truth, we love reality, we begin to see, we begin to understand, we have insight, we have experience, we have revelation. But from the perspective of reality itself, from the perspective of the source of reality itself, it is the reality itself. As the love manifests in it, it opens itself up and reveals its truth.